African American homeland, honor, power, glory and independence. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee are the 8 states I claim the African American homeland. The African American homeland will not be an independent nation, but a regional block of states with no more or no less rights than any other states in the United States of America. The African American homeland will have an official name: Economic Community of 8 Southern states. Its mission is to promote economic and political cooperation across the 8-state southern region, with a geographical area covering 375,000 square miles and population of 46 million. The ideal racial makeup of the region are 80% African Americans, 15% white, 3% Hispanic and 2% Asian and others. The 8-state southern region is strategically located with several major seaports on the Atlantic Oceans and Gulf of Mexico, with New Orleans as one of the largest seaports in the world. Major highway access run throughout the 8-state southern region. The Mississippi River gives cruise ships, riverboat, barges and container ships access from New Orleans to Minneapolis, Minnesota. International Airport in Atlanta offer a quick gateway to Africa, Europe, South America and the world. The climate is warm and humid. There are mild winters and long hot summers, with plenty of rainfall. The Appalachian Mountains run through the region from North Carolina to northern Alabama. The highest point east of the Mississippi River is Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, 6,684 feet. The region has good soil for growing plants and is known for its large plantations and commercial farming. Forest trees cover 60% of the 8-state southern region total land area. The 8-state southern region has a long general coastline, 1,082 miles, with many sandy beaches on the Atlantic and Gulf Coast. The 8-state southern region has one of the best modern infrastructures a developed nation can offer. The total GDP of the economic community of 8 southern states is over $1.8 trillion. If the 8-state southern region was an independent country, it would have the 10th largest economy in the world. In 2012, the 8-state southern region collected about $300 billion in federal tax revenue. This does not include tens of billions of dollars in extra payments the federal government transferred to the states, such as federal entitlements, federal government employees, including military personnel, federal government contractors and others. The southern states has a great number of military installations, bases and ranges. These military bases are huge contributors to the local economy. Institutions are key to development. Government is the most paramount of institutions. Government permits the creation and support of other institutions like businesses, corporations, professional organizations, colleges, universities, research organizations, non-profit organizations, banks, stock exchanges, other financial institutions, military, police, intelligence units, strategic planning organizations and others. State government is the next most powerful institution to the federal government. To have control of state government is to have control or have the abilities to make and enforce laws, charter banks and corporations, regulate intrastate businesses and take measures for public education and health, principally make laws that will support the advancement of Black Americans. Power of the state: issues licenses, regulate intrastate businesses, conduct elections, and establish local government, ratify amendments to the Constitution, take measures for public health and safety, may exert powers of the Constitution not delegated to the national government. The state also have powers to collect taxes, build infrastructure, borrow money, establish courts, make and enforce laws, spend money for the general welfare of the citizens, take private property for public purpose, with just compensation. The state government collect taxes, income taxes, corporate taxes, excise tax, personal property taxes, sales taxes and other taxes, and collect licenses fees. If you want to do business in the state, you have to get a license and pay the fees. The taxes, licenses fees, permits, fines and other revenue generators are used to support the state and other institutions such as colleges and universities, hospitals, fire department, police department, public schools, state and local government workers, elected official, the poor, the elderly, and build infrastructure like roads, bridges, seaports, airports, public utilities, electrical power, telephone lines, sewage, water and others. The only way African Americans can compete with white Americans is if we had matching institutions, and it all start with our own 8-state southern region, while fighting for our civil rights, the right to go to school with white students, the right to eat at white restaurants, the right to shop in white-owned department stores, the right to equal pay, right to vote, right to university education, the right to not be discriminated against, the right not to be harassed by the police, the right to equal opportunity, and reparations was justified and historic. However, we could have taken care of all the above grievances by just fighting for power, the control of 5, 6 or 8 states, and if they continue to treat us unfairly in their state, then they better not come to our state. The relation with the other states will be reciprocal. Example, we will not comply with extradition orders with states that are known to be hostile to our citizens. If they treat our 8-state regional citizens with kindness and respect, we would also treat them with care and respect. The key to state power is the control of the state legislature. The state legislature is divided into the upper house, the Senate and lower house, House of Representative. The state Senate and the House of Representative must be in African American control with overwhelming numbers. All 8 states in the African American homeland will have Black American governors and 16 African American senators and 66 congressmen and women are of African American descent. They are a representation on the federal government level. We have to have control of the highest judicial authority of each 8 states. That is the state Supreme Court. Some state Supreme Court justices are appointed by the governors. Others are elected by the citizens of that state. All Supreme Court justices in each 8 state must be African American. 90% of all state employees are African Americans. 95% of county, city, municipalities employees are African Americans. 95% of police officers, state police, firefighters, park rangers, emergency personnel, state guards, state militia groups are African American. These are secured government jobs for millions or more Black Americans. Imagine University North Carolina, North Carolina State, Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia University, Georgia Tech, University of Alabama, Auburn University, Mississippi State, University of Mississippi, LSU, University of Arkansas, University of Tennessee, University of Memphis are about 90% Black American. Private universities in the 8-state region, Duke, Wake Forest, Emory, Tulane, Vanderbilt and others will have no choice but to conform to the demographic makeup of the state, or sell their asset to African American investors. Faculty and staff of 50% African American, and students 60% African American are sufficient. If the 8-state region need to graduate 200,000 doctors, 300,000 engineers, 250,000 lawyers and 100,000 MBA, then a program must be established with the collaboration of the state government, local government and the universities and colleges to implement this plan to a reality. It takes government institution for this task. Business development. 75% of the land are owned by the state and local government. Black-owned corporations and Black American private citizens. 80% of all farmland in the state are controlled by African Americans. 80% of all businesses are owned by Black Americans. However, white-owned multinational corporation will dominate the top 100 largest corporations in the 8-state southern region. 90% of all state, county and local government contract go to Black American companies. Multinational corporations are a challenge to deal with. However, some corporations are encouraged to unbundle their asset in the 8-state region and sell to Black American corporations. For example, Kroger Grocery Company, the largest grocery chain in the country, will be encouraged to sell their Kroger grocery chain and Harris Teeter chain asset in the 8-state southern region to African American investors. A manufacturer of motor vehicles, vehicle parts, electronic goods, electrical goods, computers, building material, medical devices, medicine, steel, food processing, and other from anywhere in the world are given incentives to move into the 8-state southern region to take advantage of quick and easy processing of starting a business in the region, low taxes, lower land prices and leases, lower labor cost, skilled workforce, lower cost of doing business and access to a greater U.S. domestic market of 316 million people. If we keep the cost of doing business in the economic community of 8 southern states low, or lower than the other competitive regions, corporations and manufacturers will not leave the region under any circumstances. Utility companies, regional phone companies, state power companies, cable television network and providers companies, gas utility companies, digital mobile phone networks, state water companies, will become state-owned enterprise SEO, or repackaged and sold to African American investors. Internet providers, radio stations, television broadcasting networks, print media, newspapers shall be sold to African American investors. Once we have political control, most previous state laws shall be repealed, congressional and state legislative districts will be redrawn, and the Constitution of the 8 southern states shall be rewritten. $1 trillion stock exchange will be created, headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, with the cooperation of the 8 state governments, economic community of 8 southern states, the United States federal government, African American bank institutions, 8 state pension funds, city workers pension funds, teachers pension funds, mutual funds, insurance companies, African American investment bankers, and international investors. Bank institutions must be established, regional banks, state banks, local banks and credit union with a minimum total bank asset of $2.5 trillion. Other financial institutions should be created including life insurance companies, other insurance companies, investment banking, pension funds, mutual funds, hedge funds, mortgage corporations, Fannie Mae type regional government corporation, consumer lending and credit corporation, and others. In 2012, there were 21 Black American-owned banks with a total bank deposit of $5 billion. However, Black American bank deposit holders have over $500 to $800 billion in thousands of other banks throughout the country. Nonetheless, this $500 billion is not being circulated in the Black community. A dollar capital into a bank can result in $10 of loans to Black-owned businesses, Black families and other Black institutions, a multiplier effect that can ultimately lead to a faster rate of economic growth. The small island nation or Commonwealth of Puerto Rico has 6 banks with a total capitalization of $50 billion. Black American per capita income is almost twice Puerto Rico's per capita income. If you include Puerto Ricans in New York and New Jersey, Black Americans have 10 times the population. With a smaller defined geographical area and a concentrated Black American consumer market, an African American distribution network, wholesale and retail of goods and services of any kind can be more feasible to establish. With 36 million Black Americans concentrated into the 8-state southern region, instead of 46 million African Americans dispersed into 50 states, Black American consumers are unwittingly compelled to do business with Black American-owned companies, and Black-owned corporations, and small Black-owned businesses are by calculation, forced to service Black American consumers. Education and skills development. Our elected officials and citizens of the 8-state southern region priority is to educate our youth, not put them in prison. Having control of the 8-state region educational system, we can make major changes. For example, require all public and private school students to wear school uniforms. College or university study is not for everyone. Therefore, the 8-state southern region will establish a comprehensive apprenticeship educational system to ensure a highly skilled workforce that will command high pay, benefits and a productive society. Entrepreneurship to me is equally important than education. Entrepreneurship is the only way to break the bondage of dependency on the government and getting a job. While profit is the result of successful business, it shouldn't be why you are in business. You start a business to solve problems and serve others. If you do that, profit will follow. I'm proposing a capitalist system in the economic community of 8 southern states. Communism and socialism will not work in today's highly competitive global markets. If we want to compete with the Chinese, India, Brazil, South Korea, Japan, Europe, Russia, other states and nations, then we must have the most innovative, creative and efficient system in the world. It is African American natural right to rule over the 8 southern states of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee. One asked, how do we acquire control of these 8 southern states? Traditional methods, such as petitioning the federal government, asked President Barack Obama to use executive powers to create an 8-state African American homeland. 1 million people marched on Washington. Sue the states, or the federal government and the courts. Sue the United States government, through the United Nations. Boycott major events, or corporations. Total social, or civil disobedience. The African American Homeland Association Plan. Instead of waiting on the government, I suggest that we make a modern-day mass migration back to the 8 southern states. There are 46 million African Americans in the U.S.A. There are under 30 million white Americans living in the 8-state southern region. There are 11,500,000 African American in the same region. The white race in the region are much older and their numbers are declining rapidly. To make a simple majority, we have to move additional 20 million African Americans into the region. To have a supermajority, we have to move 25 million additional African Americans into the region. Whoever has the majority of the votes, control the state. This will have a profound effect. First of all, things will get worse before things get better. This would cause a major migration of half of the white population out of the region. White flight. It has been demonstrated thousands of times throughout American history that once the black population reaches a certain percentage of the local population, the white population will begin to move out in masses. This time, out of the 8-state southern region. Firstly, fear of increased crime, but mostly, fear of lower property values. Go south, black Americans. Most African American living outside of the 8-state southern region have some type of historical kinship with the region. You were probably born in Chicago, but your grandparents probably migrated there from Mississippi or Tennessee during the 1940s. There is already a natural progression of African Americans migrating back to the South. Some are retirees, some are educated, upwardly mobile professionals that see opportunities in the South. Others want to get away from the extremely cold weather in the North or high cost of living in the Northeast. Others are being forced out of Los Angeles by other ethnic groups and migrating to the South. Whatever the reason, we can cooperate together to make the 8-state southern region the best place to live, work, retire, play. Integration is a failure. Multiculturalism does not work. I call for a separate development of predominantly African American states. Black Americans not forced to live in the South. The economic community of 8 southern states will become a regional home, political home, spiritual home, business or organization headquarters, retirement destination, investment destination, and safe haven for Black Americans. Black Americans can live or work anywhere in America, but hopefully, Black American investment dollars go to the 8-state southern region. However, any persons regardless of race, religion, creed or sexual orientation can live in the 8-state southern region. The Equal Protection Clause, part of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which took effect in 1868, provides that no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction The equal protection of the law, meaning the 8-state southern region cannot deny to any person the right to live, work or do business in the region. Equally, the other 42 states cannot deny blacks, Asians or Hispanics rights to live, work and do business in their states. Our main objectives are the acquisition of political, economic, and government powers of the 8-state southern region. The first wave, to take control of the economics and politics of the 8 southern states. Every county, large or small, every small town, every community, every neighborhood, doesn't matter how rich, middle class or poor, must feel the presence of the African American mass migration. There should be absolutely no white oasis. There should be no preservation of all white towns, communities, or neighborhoods. No predominantly public or private white schools nowhere in the African American homeland. If all the African Americans are migrating to one part of the state, or one half of the state, then the whites will just move to the part of the state where there are no or less black Americans. Our goal is to encourage the whites to move out of the 8-state region. The first massive migration wave have to be done as clandestinely or quietly as possible, to arouse little suspicion from the Republican or Democratic Party. The first migration wave of African American are eligible voters, recruited from all over the country, who want to live permanently in their new chosen county, gaining control of the rural counties, while African American migrants will be able to choose counties, cities, or districts where to settle and vote. The organization priority is to infiltrate the predominantly white rural counties. If you observe the U.S. Census map, you will notice a geographical concentration of African Americans in urban and inner suburban areas, and whites in outer suburban and rural areas. The white communities tend to surround the black community into an isolated geographical area, while the white communities has free range from the urban area to the outermost rural area. This gives the whites political control of most counties, thus control of the state. If blacks in the 8 southern states were spread out more evenly, we could deliver the decisive votes. After careful study of the 2004, 2008, 2012 election results, and analysis of US Census data information for 2008, 2010, 2012, I came to a conclusion that 6 million more African American voters would be needed throughout the 8-state southern region to tip the scale in favor of the African American homeland. I also considered the possibility that all whites will vote for the opposing candidates. What are the alternatives? Some organizations and intellectuals have advocated for a black American homeland in Africa, like Angola, or immigration to West African countries. As a Pan-Africanist, I do support the idea of going back to Africa. However, I feel that we should have strong black American government, political, and economic institutions in the United States. Therefore we can build trade, political, economic, educational, cultural, social and tourism relations with African countries on a government and corporate level. Meaning, if we decide to go to Africa, we will have something to offer. We must have strong institutions on both sides of the Atlantic to fully benefit from the support of one another, such as the relationship between the United States and Western European countries. Each state will have its own foreign affairs department to deal with issues of Africa on a government-to-government level. The Economic Community of 8 Southern States, ECESS, will join the African Union. This can only be done if we control of our own state institutions. For example, the state of South Carolina invests billions of dollars in West African nations to build infrastructures. Another example, the state of Alabama sends trade missions to Angola to discuss business opportunities. New Orleans Oil Company invests in Nigeria's offshore oil exploration. Example, South Carolina hotel and resort operator opens new hotels in the Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Benin. Example, commercial real estate developer in North Carolina builds 20 new malls in West Africa. In return, African states, corporations, and individuals can invest in the 8-state southern region. The 8-state southern region ECESS will be our largest and most important institution. It will be possible to build trade relation with neighboring Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean Sea countries such as Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, other Caribbean islands, and South American countries, such as Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Ecuador, and especially Brazil. This trade and cultural relationship will help build stronger black community networks and institutions throughout the two continents. The 8-state southern region, ECESS, will seek its own trade and cultural relation with the European Union and other European countries including Russia. The 8-state southern region will sought economic ties with Middle Eastern countries, such as Turkey, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Jordan, U.A.E., Qatar, Kuwait and Bahrain, and South Asian countries such as India and Sri Lanka. The economic community of 8 southern states will also build economic ties with China, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and Southeastern Asian countries, such as Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Once all these countries observe what we have to offer, including size and sophistication of our regional economy, modern infrastructures, skilled labor market, and access to an even larger consumer market and economy, economic community of 8 southern states will have instant worldwide respect, influence, fortune and power. Every country in the world would want to do business with the 8-state southern region because it has much to offer. For more information go to www.africanamericanhomeland.com.